I am so excited that you're here, Joe. Thank you so very much for being on my show. I literally, like I told you at the start, I waited for you for months and months and months to do this show. So thank you so much.
Of course. It's my pleasure.
So let's dive into it. Tell us about your boring business.
You bet. I currently own my family's fence company, a fence installation company. And while there may be more boring companies, we've got to be up there. If you've seen one fence, you've seen them all, pretty much. It's not glamorous.
I actually had the privilege of meeting Joe in a very fence landscaping construction environment. He actually was at Social Media Marketing World, and I was like, what's a fence guy doing at this conference? And I was like, so obviously I had to come talk to him. Of course, he also wearing this bright orange shirt. He's just owning it. So,
basically, it's my go-to outfit. It's a bright orange shirt with a bright orange hat.
You got to do whatever works. So, you're at Social Media Marketing World, and obviously you own a fence business, and you were in this marketing space. So, talk to us a little bit why you were there, and why you think it's important for boring businesses, especially, to be in marketing environments versus in this constant state of trying to do your job better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, and to be more specific, we met not only at the conference, but we met on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
at the conference. So we should specify it's even better. But no, so it isn't a completely boring business. You can show up in the morning and you build fence all day, and then you go home, and then you do the same thing over and over and over. One fence company is similar to another. There's not a lot of things that set us apart. So what we decided is we need to market ourselves. We need to let people know who we are, and that while it is a boring business, there are some things that set us apart. In our particular community, we've got several competitors, but none of them are advertising. No one advertises. Word of mouth was basically it. Some of them were in the yellow pages, but no one was online marketing themselves, introducing themselves to their potential customers. And so it was really the luck of a customer calling up and asking us to come out to measure. That was our introduction. So I said, well, we can do this a lot better. We can do video. Let's introduce ourselves to our customers before we even knock on the door. Let's tell them what we're going to offer and why it's different from our competitors. And so that's what took me to Social Media Marketing World. I actually follow their podcast. I found them through a podcast first. Decided to, let's go ahead and pull the trigger. Let's go on out there, and really picked up a lot of knowledge. Specific to just marketing ourselves. Whether it's a boring business or a glamorous business, marketing's marketing. Introducing yourself to your potential customer. The great thing about marketing for a boring business is most people assume that marketing doesn't work. They say, well, who's going to want to know about a fence company? I mean, it's a fence. Yeah, but what you do is different. What we do here is different than any other fence company, in that we're a third generation fence company. We've been doing fence since 1955 and on and on and on. But our customers would have never known if they found us in the yellow pages and decided to give us a call. So boring businesses almost have it better, because most competitors in that space assume, we assume, that it's just not worthwhile. Right now, none of our competitors, we've been doing marketing in a pretty significant, dedicated way for a couple years. And our competitors still haven't caught on to it. We win by default. There is no competition on Facebook when it comes to fencing. No one else is doing it.
Why do you think it is that your competitors are not using online marketing? And you had mentioned that they just don't think that it works. Do you think there's something more to it than that?
Well, there's a perception in general that social media isn't for business. Social media is for personal, but, TV and radio are still for business. TV and radio are extremely expensive, and so most of our competitors don't participate there either. As a caveat, we do participate both in television and radio. with good results. But I think the social media is viewed as more of a personal avenue than a business avenue, which is completely wrong. Our social media marketing does better than any of the other marketing we do. Radio is okay for branding, but the turnaround's really long. So if I had an idea today, I would message my rep, who would then create a script, and then we'd have to schedule studio time and record it and edit it. It's literally a week from start to finish, from me having an idea to it being on the radio. And then for that radio message to really work, we found 6 weeks. It takes about 6 weeks for a message to sink in. Social media, I mean, I can literally have an idea now, shoot it now, edit it over the next 30 minutes, and have it delivered to my audience, in the next hour and a half, and get pretty immediate feedback too. Radio, like I say, takes about 6 weeks to get any sort of feedback. Social, I could have feedback tonight on, different creative ideas or different, delivery concepts, that sort of thing. But like I said, I think my competitors are sleeping on it because it's not seen as a business marketing avenue, which is completely inaccurate.
So you had mentioned a couple of different things in that I want to kind of like ask specifically. So your competitors, you think, don't use social media and online marketing because of the money, because they think that it's not good for business. And obviously you prove them wrong time and time again. Do you think that maybe like where your business is like physically located, like I don't know what the size of town is, or maybe the demographic is of that? Can like you tell us a little bit about that so we kind of understand a little bit more about like what like the environment looks like there, so that people know whether like other people be like, oh, that doesn't work for my business because all of my clients are like over 55 or something like that. Like what is it that you think they just don't know?
And I'll definitely dive into what our demographic looks like here. And I hear that, it works for you guys, but it won't work for me. To which I respond, do you have customers that are living right now? Then they're probably on social media. When they're checking up on, if it's 55 plus, they're checking up on their grandkids, I guarantee it. And I've got good news. So the engagement for 55 plus is just off the walls. It's incredible the amount of content they engage with. If your business targets under 25, well, I've also got good news for you. They're there too. Anywhere in between, they're literally there. They are absolutely there. Now, there are some people that say, well, social media doesn't work for my business. We tried it and it just didn't work. To which usually that's a little bit of operator error. You can run a campaign. You can boost a post. Simply click it and link a credit card, and they'll take your money. But maybe the targeting's off. Maybe you think your demographic is in one area and it's actually in somewhere else. So I also own a marketing agency, and we work with some restaurants. One restaurant in particular said, my target demographic is men, and they're 25 to 35. Like that, and it was very specific, and I believed them. These guys are the guys that should know. Through running some Facebook ads to different demographics, we actually figured out their target audience, the ones that spend the most money with them, are females from 35 to 50, 55.
Wow.
So if they had just taken the ball and run with it with their demographic, they probably would have the same opinion. Well, it just doesn't work. It works. It's just not in the way you think it might. But so let me unpack a little bit of what our demographic looks like. We are in the Midwest. We're in Southwest Missouri, so we're in the Midwest. Town, I think the metropolitan area, I think, is 180,000, something like that, a little under a couple 100,000. The economy here is pretty strong right now, so spending is going well. Our target demographic, so for a fence company, we target male and female 35 to 55 is kind of where we're at. Below 35, home ownership status really isn't there. 55 plus, either the home ownership status isn't there, or they're already set. They've already got their home figured out. Our thing in fencing is kids and pets keep us in business. Absolutely. So 35 to 55 does really well. Typically married. And that's really as deep as we get into it. And we've tried diving a little bit deeper into that demographic and with results that weren't so great as to, maybe income or home value. The majority of our social ad spend is in Facebook, and you can get pretty detailed. Well, you could get pretty detailed as far as income, home ownership status, that sort of thing. Some of that's gone away or is going away. So we're back to male, female, both 35 to 55 for our target demo.
So do you think that Facebook has allowed you to even understand your perfect customer better because you've been able to do the different testing and targeting and seeing who has done better from your ads?
Absolutely. And we've found also that with our ads, so we run dark posts a lot. We'll have content on our Facebook page, but we'll also run just hidden ads. And we found that copy that speaks more to safety and security works better for our male audience. And family message works better for our female audience. And actually, oddly enough, with the female audience, cost savings, which we thought that was more of an analytical thought. So we tried it with the male audience and it didn't pan out so well, but with the female audience, it really took hold. You can get an incredible amount of data from running some pretty simple Facebook ads. And when we're doing our demos, we're not talking about a huge ad budget. We're $10, $15 a day is when we're testing kind of where we're at. 5 days, $50, you can get some really good data on what your creative looks like, how your audience responds, which segment of your audience responds best. I'm not sure how specific you want to get into it, but like in Facebook, in the Business Manager, you can dial it in by, you can view your reports by male, female. You can view it by age. You can view it by gender and age. You can get very detailed into the reporting, figure out exactly which message resonates best with which audience. And I suggest doing that. Most of the time, what we think will work well is wrong.
Let the data lead you. Let the data tell you who wants your stuff. Like you might think but I think that it's great for our boring business audience to know that ads can help you figure out exactly who you're targeting. Like you might think and have a big idea, but this will really help you narrow it down. That way you're not wasting money and your time.
Yep. Well, and it helps our message that we have with people in person also. So we know that when we're at, a home show or a lawn and garden show, that when we're talking to a potential male customer, that we are going to talk about safety and security. And if we're going to talk to a female customer, we're going to talk more about the family aspects, the kids in the backyard, and the cost savings. So it helps us in the real world also know, what our customers, what message they resonate best with.
Okay, very good. That's really good to know for all of you guys out there listening. I know that some of you are like, ugh, Facebook ads, glazed eyes over and stuff. But at the same time, just know, if you're going to get anything out of it, it'll help you figure out how to talk to people better. And just remember, according to Joe here, your competitors probably aren't doing it. So
yeah, and you can actually,
there's something to when you're in a bigger city, and comes more tech, you're more techie and stuff. Do you think that more people in big cities, techie cities, stuff like that, they're more online? Do you think that because you're in a smaller town that's kind of an advantage for you as well?
Maybe, but I don't know that it plays a huge role in it. I think what we're using social media, and when I say we, I just mean people in general, are using social media for is to stay connected. And whether you live, I actually don't live in the town or in the city that we do business in. I live about half hour away in a very small town. I believe whether I'm talking to my neighbor there or whether I'm talking to someone that lives in, Dallas, Texas, everyone wants to be connected. Whether it's to friends from college or an aunt that lives on the other side of the states or a friend they know that's halfway across the world, people want to stay connected. And I think that's consistent no matter what market you're in. I think I think people in general want to stay connected. So I don't know. I know what you mean though. If a big city might find more success with a social media advertisement rather than a small market, I don't know. the biggest thing is test everything. That's it. Is we learned that lesson a long time ago where we would sit around and kind of stipulate and postulate, well, I think this would work or that would work. The best thing we ever decided was let's stop talking about it and just test it. Let's take $50 and put it out into the world and see what the world tells us. The best person to ask about what your customers want is your customer. We can all think we've got a great idea, but like I say, my ideas are most often incorrect, or at least not as accurate as they could be. But my customers are pretty good about telling me what they'd like.
Awesome. That's actually great feedback for all of us in any business that we have. So in regards to testing things, why don't you share with us something that you've done with online marketing that's just gone like horribly wrong?
Oh, where do we start? Like, I hope you got some time here. Well, first and foremost, we make mistakes.
Your biggest one, like your most like,
Okay.
but like your biggest learning moment.
Okay, so that came in the beginning before we really started dialing in our demographic. We had some pretty big ideas on some video. We were going to run some really nice polished video. We hired an agency to come shoot the video, and we really went big. And we said, you know what? This is a message that's going to resonate with everyone. So we're going to put some massive ad spend behind it. We invested a lot of money in this message, and it didn't resonate. It came off as salesy, when we really wanted to come off as like a big brand message. It really came off as a pretty solid sales pitch. And it flopped, in a really big way. We got a little bit of engagement with it. We got a fair amount of negative feedback from it.
Oh, wow.
People don't want to be sold. They absolutely do not want to be sold anything. They want you to tell them about yourself, why the purchasing decision should sit with you instead of your competitor. They don't want to be sold. And I really don't fault the editing, and I really fault that we went so deep into this message without testing it first. We said, hey, this is it. I guarantee this is it. Let's just go ahead and shoot it and run it. And we were $5,000 or $6,000 into this thing before we started looking at feedback and data and saying, whoa, this is wrong. This not only we got the negative feedback pretty much immediately, but we really thought it was just, outlier. We really didn't think that was the consistent message. We thought there was just someone or some folks that just maybe not, maybe want to troll a little bit. But overall it was a bad message. So we spent a lot of money. We did not test the message first. So we still do polished content. We produce a new piece of polished content about once a month, but we base that on testing. So I'll shoot a really informal message on my cell phone, and I'll run that message against the demographics as a dark post and just see how it resonates. And then if it does resonate with the crowd I think it's going to resonate with, we go ahead and produce it. Out of 10 ideas, we probably end up producing 2 or 3 of them. Okay. So we shoot quickly, like I say, directly to my cell phone. And I'll tell you this, our unpolished content has a higher engagement rate than our polished content does. So we're kind of adjusting our strategy because of that. Maybe we're going to move away from as much polished content to more just in the moment, straight to camera content. But like I said, we test things quickly now. And so anyway, so in talking about losses, that was a huge loss for us. I think we ended up investing, said and done, I bet we invested $7,000 or $8,000 in it. And I doubt we saw any return from it.
So what made you keep going with online marketing? I feel like a lot of people would be like, well, it failed, I'm done. Like, let's try something else, go back to the old standards. What made you realize like you guys had made the mistake and you needed to try something different?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of that's just my personality. When I have an idea that I know is going to work, like I'll just make it work. I'll just force it until it works or until it just absolutely fails. I think if I'd had 2 or 3 solid losses in a row, I said, okay, this wasn't a great idea. But I think some of his personality, I think a lot of it is, I listen to podcasts and I follow some YouTube channels and I keep in touch with the social media marketing world in general. And I said, now wait a minute, it is working. It's working for others. I need to figure out why this didn't work for me. And so let's go back to the drawing board. Let me, bounce some ideas off some folks that are having success. I've kind of created a little network of folks that I've met in conferences or online of home-based service professionals and said, hey, here's what I did. Let's all have a really good laugh about it. But what are you doing that's different? Like, what do you guys think? And so some of it was just personality, and a lot of it was just realizing that because this didn't work once does not mean it won't work ever. When television came along, there were some pretty big losses when people tried to transition from radio to television. I guarantee it. Like, while I can't source any specifically, you have to think that a lot of that there's a steep learning curve to it. And that's kind of how I viewed this. Is it's new and people aren't going to get it right the first time. I'm a pretty big baseball fan, and in baseball, if you're batting 500, you might as well write your check anywhere you want to go. And that means they can make a move they hit half the balls basically, and they get on base half the time. And these are the pros. These are the big leagues. And so I kind of look at ourselves like that, where, if you're batting 300, you're still a pretty solid player. So 3 out of 10 times they made a positive move. And I really view this the same way. Is you can't assume you're going to hit it out of the park every time. You can't. That mentality you will have a negative outlook on Facebook, and social in general. But if you come at it from the point of view, hey, if I get 3 out of 10, I'm really doing something right here. 5 out of 10, I'm an all-star rock star. You come at it with that point of view, and it's all gold. It really is.
That's an amazing analogy. Like, you got to keep swinging until you hit the ball. You really do when it comes to social. And it's even from so much a sense of like from day to day. Like, we post Sunday through Saturday every day for our clients. And like some days are better than others. And it has nothing more to do with like how many people actually saw it, or it just happened to catch it. You could wonder. I wonder if we should do like that test where it's like post the exact same thing every day, but like do it at different times, or put some ad dollars behind it on one or the other. There's so many different ways to do it. You can't just think it's not working. It's so important to be there for when it does.
Yeah, it's going to work. It will work. It's a matter of finding the right copy, the right content, the right day, the right time, the right audience. You got to line the stars up, and you have to keep at it until the stars line up for you. And you're right in that you can get way too far into the weeds on the reporting. Also, we do not look at day-to-day results. We absolutely do not for our industry, because for us, and we see it with our telephones, for us, when it rains, the phones turn off. No one cares about fence when it's raining. Why? I don't know. The most specific I get is 7-day look back, a 7-day average. And I see that not only in us, but in clients that we help with their marketing in other industries too. Day to day is too close of a look. Like you say, you can have off days. It just didn't reach the right people that day. When you're looking at it, 14 days is kind of our sweet spot. I'll look at a 14-day average. If I really want to try to dial something in, it'd be a 7-day average. But you can really get too far into the weeds on it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that we all can learn from Joe about marketing, because let's be honest, like if a fence business can crush it with social and online marketing, I don't think there's literally any reason any of us can't. And I think that there were some really great points that were made. Make sure you re-listen to this if you're looking for more. And of course, we'll have a lot of the info sort of regurgitated and organized into our show notes for you guys. But Joe, I like to end the show with a question. And that question is, what is your favorite quote for our listeners to inspire them to go out and do marketing greatness?
Okay. All right. So bear with me because it works, but there's a quote from a golfer that says, I hit it as hard as I can. And if I can find it, I'll hit it again. And I apply that literally everywhere. Because it's like, listen, you go for it, and you go for it hard, and then if it works, you go for it hard again. But you don't half throttle something and hope it works. You hit it as hard as you can, and then you just keep hitting it, and you make it work. A lot of people will kind of tiptoe into something and try to make it work, and you just got to go for it. You go all in, you see if it works, and if it doesn't, you just do it again. You got to go for it big.
That I think is fantastic advice for all of us. I love that. I've never heard that before. So that's always exciting. That's why I love asking this question. So Joe, where's one place that everyone can find you online and learn from your genius?
Sure. So it's at Joe Everest on Facebook. That's me.
Perfect.
I've got a public figure page where I'm starting to try to help people and answer questions. And the thing is I learn by helping is my thing. I've learned more about marketing from helping other people with their marketing than I could have ever tried to sit and watch and listen and learn. So literally it's not a sales pitch. Let me help you. If you've got questions, if something's not working and needs tweaked, reach out. I would love to help you for no other reason than to add that tool to my toolbox. So next time I see that problem, I'm going to know how to address it. At Joe Everest, I would absolutely love to help with whoever and whatever they're up against.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and thank you again for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. It was really great seeing you again.